Nuck is gone, and it didn't feel like a random hit. It felt personal. His death wasn't just another street casualty. It was calculated, silent, and cold. But the question that haunts us now is this: who wanted Nuck dead badly enough to make it happen right under everyone's nose? And did episode 12 already show us the killer? Episode 12 of the Kai season 7 doesn't waste time. From the moment it starts, something feels off in the air. Tension is building, not with loud threats, but with the quiet glances between characters who know more than they're saying. Nuck's death doesn't come out of nowhere. It's been coming for a while. We just didn't see how close it really was. Before his death, Nuck was still moving like he was untouchable. He was giving orders, pulling strings, and keeping his grip tight on the women in his world and the streets he helped control. But behind the scenes we saw cracks. His relationship with Douda was shaky. He was losing the respect of those closest to him. And worst of all, he was starting to make enemies out of allies. In episode 12, he has several key interactions that now feel like warning signs. He meets with Douda, but it's cold, businesslike, with no real trust left. He checks in with Alicia, who's clearly playing her own game. And then there's a strange scene where Nuck seems paranoid. He looks around like he knows something is coming. That moment sticks. The show doesn't explain it right away, but now, after seeing what happened, it means everything. Later in the episode, he disappears. There's no shootout, no big street fight, just silence. The kind of silence that happens when a snake gets taken out in the grass. His body is found, and nobody claims responsibility. That silence is the loudest part of the whole episode. It wasn't a message, it was a move. A strategic takedown meant to shift the power. The reactions from the other characters say a lot. Douda doesn't seem surprised. Emmett looks shocked, but focused. Bakari avoids eye contact when it's mentioned. And Alicia? She doesn't flinch. All these little reactions show that everyone might have had a reason to want Nuck out of the way, but only one of them pulled the trigger or gave the green light. What's powerful about this episode is how it doesn't show the murder directly. It lets us feel it. The camera lingers on conversations that suddenly feel heavier. The music slows down at moments that seem unrelated, but they aren't. This is the Kai's way of saying, pay attention. And now, fans are doing just that. Because while Nuck may be gone, the truth about who killed him is just beginning to come into focus. There's blood on the floor, and someone's hands are dirty. Nuck didn't just vanish into the dark, someone made sure he wouldn't come back. And when we look at the people closest to him, it's clear the killer isn't a stranger. It's someone who's been in the room with him. Maybe someone who even smiled to his face before stabbing him in the back. Let's look at the suspects. First, Douda. He's the kingpin who plays chess, not checkers. Douda doesn't act on emotion, he acts on advantage. And lately, Nuck was more of a liability than a partner. Nuck was running his own game, roughing people up, making bold moves, and pushing too far into spaces Douda wanted quiet. Their last meeting in episode 12 felt tense. Douda barely looked at him. No threats, no loud words, but Douda doesn't need to yell to make a point. He's the type to have something done with just a nod. If Nuck was drawing too much heat or losing control, it's not hard to imagine Douda removing him like a loose piece on the board. But then, Emmett enters the picture. He's not a killer, but he's been changing. He's seen what these men are doing to his community, his business, and the people he loves. Nuck's connection to Keisha's pain still hangs heavy, and Emmett's been pushed to the edge before. Could he have snapped? Or maybe, could he have paid someone else to handle it? We can't ignore the cold look in his eyes when he hears the news. It wasn't just shock, it was something deeper, like relief or closure. Then we have Bakari. He's been on edge for a while now. His guilt, his struggle to find peace, and his attempts to protect those around him, it's all building up. Bakari's been close to danger before, and he knows what it takes to survive in a world like this. He had a strange calm in this episode. When the news broke, he didn't panic. He didn't run. He just stood there, like he expected it. Maybe he even helped make it happen. Now, let's not forget Alicia. She's one of the most underestimated characters in the story. But if you've been watching closely, you'll notice she's never out of the loop. Her moves are clean, her words sharp, and her goals clear. She's protecting her daughter, her image, and her growing influence. Nuck was a threat to that. Not just physically, but strategically. A man like him brings chaos. And Alicia doesn't do chaos. If she saw him as a problem, she could have easily called in someone to fix it. No mess. No evidence. Just results. Even Tiff can't be left off the list. She's tired of living in the shadows of these men. She's been learning how to control her space, her hustle, and her life. Maybe Nuck crossed a line with someone she cared about. Maybe she was part of the setup or knew more than she's letting on. Each of these people had a reason. Some had revenge in their heart. Others had fear. Some just saw an opportunity. But one thing's for sure, Nuck's death wasn't an accident. It was a decision. A careful one. The killer knew what they were doing and likely didn't act alone. So who had the motive? Who had the chance? And who had the guts to actually do it? As we move deeper into this story, we're not just chasing a killer, we're peeling back layers of loyalty, betrayal, and power. And whoever did this just turned the game on its head. What if the answer isn't in what was said, but in what wasn't? The Kai is known for hiding the truth in plain sight. That's why fans are now playing detective, picking apart every frame, every glance, and every unfinished sentence. And the internet is buzzing with wild, brilliant, and sometimes shocking theories about who really killed Nuck and how the show has been dropping clues since the beginning of the season. One theory catching fire online is that Bakari knew more than he let on, or maybe even helped plan it. In episode 12, when the news of Nuck's death breaks, Bakari doesn't react like someone hearing it for the first time. He looks down, keeps his mouth shut, and doesn't ask questions. It's almost like he expected this. Some fans think Bakari might have warned someone or been forced to cooperate. After all, Bakari has been caught between right and wrong all season. Could this be his way of choosing sides? Another theory focuses on Alicia and her quiet power play. She's been rising fast and Nuck was in her way. Sharp-eyed fans noticed that every time Nuck's name came up, Alicia's face went cold. In episode 11, she hinted that she'd do anything to protect her family's future. In episode 12, she's unusually calm while everyone else is tense. Some viewers believe Alicia didn't just approve of Nuck's removal, she might have orchestrated it with help from someone like Douda or even Rob. The camera lingers on her during a key scene, right after Nuck's death is revealed. That wasn't a random shot. Then there's a more twisted theory. Nuck's own people turned on him. One fan pointed out that Nuck had been losing respect within his circle. Maybe his own crew got tired of his chaos and saw a chance to cut him loose and climb higher without him. Episode 12 doesn't show his actual death, and that silence might be the clue. No witnesses, no sound. That feels like an inside job. Even Douda's smirk in one scene is being rewatched over and over. There's a moment where he gets a call, listens quietly, and then gives the faintest nod. He doesn't say a word, but fans say that was the moment. He heard Nuck was gone, and it wasn't surprise on his face. It was satisfaction. Another detail that's gone viral: the disappearing burner phone. Earlier in the episode, a phone is placed on a table during a scene involving Rob. Minutes later, it's gone, but no one's shown picking it up. Was it used to send a signal? Was it part of setting up the hit? Fans believe that moment was staged to show that something big was in motion if you were paying attention. Some viewers even believe Emmett might have been involved indirectly by tipping off someone dangerous. He's been trying to protect Keisha and their family, and maybe he finally made a desperate choice. In one Reddit post, a fan broke down the way Emmett's voice shakes when he finds out about Nuck. Not fear, not sadness, just a strange mix of shock and maybe guilt. But here's the biggest twist theory of all: Nuck's not really dead. Some fans are convinced that his off-screen death was too clean, too quiet, and that the Kai might be setting up a fake out. Maybe he's hiding. Maybe he faked his own death to escape heat. Maybe the real showdown is coming in season 8. While that might sound far-fetched, the Kai has pulled big surprises before. And with so many secrets floating around, the truth could still flip everything we thought we knew. So the next time you rewatch episode 12, don't just look at who's talking, watch who's silent. That's where the real story lives. The smoke is clearing, the theories are flying, and yet one question still cuts through everything. Who pulled the final string that ended Nuck's reign? It wasn't random. It wasn't sloppy. It was surgical, clean, quiet, almost too perfect. And if you piece together the breadcrumbs left across season 7, one picture starts to form: ugly, calculated, and deeply personal. Let's start with Douda, the silent architect of many violent moves. He didn't need to fire the shot. He just needed to give the nod. In episode 12, his calm reaction to Nuck's death didn't come from shock, it came from confirmation. For weeks, Douda had been losing patience with Nuck's impulsive behavior. He was unpredictable. He was loud. And worst of all, he was drawing too much attention to Douda's empire. Douda values control more than anything, and Nuck was cracking the foundation. So when Douda says nothing after hearing Nuck is gone, that's his way of saying finally. But Douda doesn't work alone. He uses tools, people, puppets. And that's where Alicia becomes key. She has power. Not just social power, but quiet influence. She doesn't get her hands dirty, but she doesn't need to. Her calm, almost icy demeanor in this episode wasn't just good acting, it was a reveal. Alicia likely knew what was coming. Maybe she was even part of planning it. She'd hinted before that she'd do whatever it takes to secure her daughter's future. Maybe that meant removing a threat like Nuck permanently. Still, we can't ignore Bakari. The streets talk and Bakari listens. He's been through too much to be naive. When Nuck was pushing too hard, Bakari may have seen it as his chance to take back some control. He's had enough trauma, enough fear. Taking out Nuck would be dangerous, but it would also be freeing. And maybe someone gave him the chance. A whispered name, a late-night phone call, a loaded gun left on a table. No words, just choice. But let's not forget what makes this murder so chilling: it might have been a team effort. That's the most likely scenario. A silent coalition of people who all had something to gain. Douda wanted him gone. Alicia needed him gone. Bakari had the nerve to do it. And Emmett? He might have just stayed quiet knowing what would come. And what does this all mean for season 8? A power vacuum. Nuck's death isn't the end, it's the start of something much bigger. Now that he's gone, alliances will shift. Trust will vanish. And whoever killed him just lit the fuse for a war. Douda may think he's in control, but blood has a way of calling for more blood. Bakari might spiral, guilt tearing him apart. Alicia may rise, but with more enemies than ever. And Emmett, well, the quiet ones usually explode later. This wasn't just a character death. This was a warning shot. A move that says, no one is safe. Not the players. Not the kingpins. Not the pawns. If Nuck could fall, anyone can. So who really killed Nuck? Maybe it was one. Maybe it was many. But the streets of Chicago just got a little colder and a lot more dangerous. And if you think the game ended with episode 12, think again. The real storm is coming in season 8.